Is your mic on?
Hello?
Well, is the light on, silly? No. Hello? What were you going to hear? What does love mean to you? How do you define it? What does love got to do with it? All the things. That's exactly what we were talking about at last night's Chat and Chew, where, we had our friends and family, esteemed guests get together and rap about love, dating, and relationships. I'm Marcus Miller,
Laura Remain like the lettuce.
aka Laura Lettuce, and we host an intimate discussion series here in the city that we like to call Chat and Chew, where we chat about the issues that truly impact us, and we chew on the concepts, the ideas, the thoughts, and the perspectives that arise throughout the discussion. Laura, I say this all the time. I am fascinated with how communication has the power to influence the world for better or for worse. And I think we're seeing a lot of examples of the latter in real time every day, which is why it makes it so important for us to come together in community during times like this. And what's more important are the conversations that we're having in our communities, the dialogue that we're having. It's easy to self-isolate, and we don't want to do that. It is all about creating a safe space for intimate, unfiltered conversations to offer a balance to the hustle and bustle culture of New York City.
It's just so serious. I look like I went to a funeral. I'm sorry. Okay. Woo!
Oh, welcome to Chat and Chew, the podcast where we keep the conversation going beyond the table. So, Laura, the last night's theme was What's Love Got to Do with It? Part 2, because we've had a What's Love Got to Do with It conversation before. I'm just curious, what was one of the biggest moments from last night's dinner? Give me a takeaway from last night.
I think the fact that everyone had a definition of love that was seemingly similar. It was all about people wanting to be held accountable, vulnerability.
I feel like one of the underlying themes of the discussion was expectation.
Yes.
And expectations that we have for ourselves, for our partners, for relationships, and then communication. So how are you communicating those expectations to yourself and being like, do you know what you desire? And then how are you communicating that to another person? So I felt like it was like communication, expectation, boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
What are your own boundaries? And I thought that that was sort of an interesting undercurrent of the conversation.
And as my therapist, Denise, also hit us with the knowledge of it's okay to be really specific in the questions that you ask.
Elaborate, friend.
What was one of the questions? Have you been to therapy? If so, how long have you been in therapy? Are you still seeing a therapist? Just getting to the root of...
She had asked, or she said that we could and should ask, what's something that you did that led to the demise or the breakup of your last relationship? How did you contribute to your last breakup?
Right.
And the purpose is not the actual, there's no right or wrong answer. It is how you hold yourself accountable, if you hold yourself accountable, and if you've done anything to either grow, if there's been any self-reflection, right? And the funny thing is I've asked that in job interviews of candidates, but I've never asked that of a mate.
No, but it brings me back to previous exes or situationships where there has always been blame. on the other person.
Yeah.
And no accountability for, well, what did you contribute? It did make me think about, oh, I remember when this guy said, oh, she didn't do anything. She did it. I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah. Beware of the person that's like, oh, they're fucking crazy.
Yeah.
That person's crazy. And I'm like, every ex you had is crazy. So then it's still your fault, because why are you attracting only the crazies?
Right.
Or are you yourself contributing to the crazy? Flipping the script and being comfortable with the uncomfortability of sort of like taking the time and space to interview more or less your potential mate, but it's not necessarily an interview. If time is a precious commodity or a resource, I don't want to waste your time. You don't want to waste my time. So why wouldn't I ask you all of the important things up front?
Getting comfortable with asking those uncomfortable questions, because it sets you up for success. Clarity.
It's important.
Knowing what you want, I think, is also really huge. And that's something where I go into these things where I don't know what I want. And then I think the other thing we talked about was making assumptions about people when you're not defining what it is. If it's a situationship, if it's just a hookup.
Yeah, expectations. And so then there was another term we were using for expectation that I can't remember now. But I think boundary is a good set for that. Laura, do you want to share your definition of love?
I think knowing thyself and being able to communicate the triggers and like what's going to cause me, knowing like your mommy and daddy issues or lack thereof.
Yeah.
Being able to communicate that to your partner, whether it's a relationship or not, and then making sure that person can receive it. But also, I think what I said in the chat and chew was like just allowing that person to show up as is, accepting their flaws, accepting their shit.
Yeah.
And not judging them for it, but just letting them show up with whatever's going on in their life and giving them each other grace. Like that to me is love. Holding accountability. Like to me, tough love is everything. Like if you're not going to tell me to my face that I was acting a certain way, and you're not going to like that.
So
to
important.
Me, yeah, that is so important. Like,
but that's why communication is so important.
Yeah. But I do think it starts with self first and being able to communicate, like knowing yourself and like, this is what I need. This is what I know I need. And that person to be receptive of that. And then another thing is when someone makes me want to be a better person, that to me is ultimately, I don't know if that's love, but that's just like what I see in a partnership.
I definitely think growth is a part of my definition of love and my love journey. I don't know that there can be much room for the act of love if there's not room to grow with one another. And that doesn't even mean like we have to grow in the same way at the same time. Like there will be an ebb and flow. But if one of us is ebb and flowing and one of us is just staying there, then one of us don't love ourselves. That was the other thing that came up is even the first night and the second discussion, like loving yourself and what you're doing to pour into yourself. Laura, we started the conversation last night with what's one way you are showing yourself self-love or pouring into yourself. Self-love or self-acceptance. And I'm curious, what's one way you're showing your self-love or self-acceptance?
Well, I think I said last night that right now I know my patterns and I'm going through some shit with my family that is making me want to go and distract myself, because I know that attention is something that typically is what I need attention from men. I need attention to validate myself. But instead of going that route, I am really trying to just listen to my body and pour into my body. And that's what Denise has taught me, is to use my body as my number one tool. And, you know, just going to yoga, like making a bubble bath for myself, eating right, staying away from alcohol, because I know once I go down that route, that's chaos. So just really trying to avoid the distraction route and going into me, and just, if that means like skipping out on a few social things, because that is something I know that I'll go and lose myself in, staying in, going to church. That's why I look like from the Addams Family
She's
today.
a church lady today.
I'm a church lady.
Praise them.
Yeah. And yeah, just really, really trying to listen to my body.
That's great. That's fantastic advice. And also, thanks for being so vulnerable. You know, there are others out there who are probably in the same space where they feel like they're in the shit and they're not quite there to gloat about self-love, but they're like inch by inch crawling themselves out of the shit by pouring into themselves. So, you know, I think that's really cool to share the whole spectrum of the self-love, self-growth journey. One way that I cultivate self-love and self-acceptance is by sort of keying into what I'm doing in my mornings. So I generally start my day in prayer or meditation or scripture or my journal. And it's not all those things every day. That would be amazing if I had the time to do that. Actually, I do have the time. What are we talking? I just don't do all those things every day. But if I can start my day with any one of those things, that is like a small act of self-love to ground myself and my purpose that day.
Because New York can be so ungrounding.
Because New York can just throw you into a tizzy. Thank you for preventing me from having a fit. And so that's just something in this moment in time. And there are other ways, right? Something really small for me is consuming a lot of water each day.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter what happens that day. That is just one small way that I love on myself.
Yeah.
And I can make a million decisions that act out of my own best interest. But again, it's just these little ways that can cultivate self-love and self-acceptance. And it's a journey that sometimes you get thrown back off.
It's a practice.
It's a practice.
It is.
It's a practice.
It's those little daily habits that you promise to yourself. Drinking water.
Yeah.
I do the apple cider vinegar in my water every morning.
Yeah.
I'm now doing matcha. I know. It's like, these are things that hey Teray. Yeah, it's those little daily 1% baby habits that, like, stretching for me.
Yeah.
And like, that's what Denise has told me to just wake up and just listen to your body. If you can't make a list, like, just stretch in your bed.
Honestly, I was stretching last week. I normally am the type that when I work out, I don't stretch. Like, I have a yoga practice and I do yoga weekly. So for me, I'm like, that's enough. And when I was in my 20s and 30s, it was, but my body needed stretching, and like it was communicating that in so many ways. So I made an attempt to spend 15 extra minutes at the gym last week to like get a stretch in, because it's like, well, as you get older, you know, this is the longest lasting relationship you have. It's the relationship you have with yourself. So if your body is going to communicate what it needs, who am I to deny that need? And in the journey of love, the relationship with yourself is the most important. So I want to make sure that I am taking care of myself before I open myself up to the city and any other person pouring into me. I want to make sure that I'm pouring into myself in the ways that I need. So last week, Laura couldn't join us for the recap, and we ended by talking about, with a call to action. You know, the homework assignment was to think about what love means to you. And last night, that was probably one of the bigger things, is folks came with a working definition of what love means to and for them. And that's still the call, and that definition will change depending on where you are in your life. But it's really important to think through from time to time in what ways you need to be tended to, you need to be cared for, in ways that you're capable of tending to and caring for others, and if that aligns with what a thing is, right? But this week, since we've already been talking about cultivating self-acceptance and self-love and self-awareness, I think the homework assignment is doing something small for yourself for the next 5 to 7 days. Whether it's read for 5 minutes, whether it's get off the phone for 10 minutes, whether it's to sit in silence for 2 minutes. What?
I was gonna say, dance naked in your bedroom.
I was dancing naked today. Okay.
I did. Yeah.
It's something I do frequently.
Yeah.
Moving your body. You're taking care of your
Moving your
body is
body.
the most important thing you can do in this world, in this life. And the sooner people realize that, the better off we'll all be. Like, when people are pent up and uptight, it's just like, move your fucking body and shut the fuck up.
Last night, I put on.
What?
As I was watching Girls. I didn't tell you this. There's this man who got me this lingerie. And I was like, you know what? It may have not worked out for him, but at least he bought me this lingerie. So
What's the lingerie look like?
Like the open, what is it? The garter and then the open. So as I'm folding my laundry, I put that shit on and I just looked at myself in it as I'm putting my laundry away and just like walking around in that and feeling comfortable and looking at myself in the mirror. Like, that's hot.
Real.
That's hot.
That also reminds
So
me.
wear your lingerie around your apartment for you.
I think I have a thong in my jacket and I need to take that out. Because it always like reemerges in the weirdest times. Yes. So our final note is to wear your lingerie and look at yourself. And that's it on love. For those of you who are in New York and want to find a community that is looking to engage beyond just the surface level, I would come on out, come see us. You can find us online. We're on Instagram, we're on TikTok, sometimes we're on LinkedIn, we've got email addresses, all that shit. Or come to an actual chat and chew. We host them fairly regularly. They're small, intimate discussions about things that matter most, because we really just believe in connection over escapism. And so it's a safe space to come out and just talk, chill, explore, have a great drink, have a great laugh, and have
some group therapy.
And have some free group therapy, sometimes with an actual therapist.
Yeah.
And on that note, friends, take care of yourselves.
I just love it.
And
look at this cute little. Look, they're like two little people. This guy looks like.
The camera's like trying to adjust.
No, but you know what this reminds me of the Muppet Babies Bieber.
Oh, yeah. but black, and I love it.
Yes.
We'll take it. Oh, maybe we can talk about really quickly. We're gonna call this Chew on This. What is something as of late that has... Well, you might have already told us. What's something in the past week or so that's made you feel sexy?
Wearing the lingerie last night by myself as I'm folding my laundry.
Take my knee out.
Going to the core power classes, doing the 75-minute core power classes, and they make you just sit in the frog position forever.
Oh, that's great. That's so good for you.
And it was so funny, like, going on Friday, because like a man next to me just started snoring because...
Wait, is the frog position...
It's like the
squat?
Where your legs are like this, yeah. Because our hips don't...
Yeah, the hips are where you hold all your emotion.
Yeah. Yes. But then we laid down at one point, and then there was a man snoring. So clearly this man is not pouring love into himself by getting enough sleep. Because...
he got it then, so that's love.
Right.
Something that's made me feel sexy in the last week. I you know this. I didn't have any clean clothes, so I ended up wearing a lot of jock straps and thongs this past week, and I don't wear a thong to work out. I will never do that again. But it made me feel something.
Yeah.
As I was moving, and just the act of being able to find time to like work out and stuff.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good. Move your bodies, people. Love yourselves. Come to a chat and chew. Be in community. Talk and engage. All right. And until next time, friends. Bye.
Amen.
Yeah, I feel like there was this sort of... Every fucking time I record, the sirens, it will be so peaceful and so quiet, and the moment that this starts recording, New York will do its thing, and I will edit this out as a blooper.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah.